You are listening to the Body Charge podcast, and I'm your host, Sandy Sanderson. Welcome to the Body Charge podcast. Today's podcast is called A Good Night's Sleep is the Best Vitamin. And I have with me special guest, Olivia Arezzolo, Australia's leading sleep expert. She's a psychologist and practitioner of nutritional medicine and fitness, as well as author of the best-selling book Bear, Lion, Wolf, published in 11 languages in 8 countries. Olivia is the go-to guru for the Today Show, Studio 10, Sunrise, contributor to Forbes and news.com.au. She has also been a public speaker about sleep and health and spokesperson for IKEA, Samsung, Sealy Posturepedic, Tempur-Pedic, Ceradan, AIA Insurance, Toyota, The Body Shop, and Arezzolo Hotels. So welcome aboard, Olivia. I'm so excited to talk to you today about sleep. So tell us,
Thank you so much, Sandy.
What is the significance of the title of your book, Bear, Lion, Wolf? What does it mean?
Bear, Lion, Wolf. I'm more than happy to get into that. I just wanted to loop back around. I don't want anyone to be misled. I'm definitely a sleep expert. I know a lot about sleep. And I did study nutrition and psychology. I majored in psychology. However, I'm not a clinical psychologist and I'm not a clinical nutritionist. I don't want anyone to feel that I am not representing myself accurately. So I just wanted to ensure that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no worries.
Being authentic is really important to you and your community, and as it is to me. But now that I have shared that, my book, Bear, Lion, Wolf, is all about sleep chronotypes. Now, this is really, really interesting because sleep chronotypes is essentially the categorization system for the circadian rhythm. This can be grouped into those with an early phase, those with a late phase, and those with a mid phase, which are lions, their early phase, bears have a mid phase, and wolves have a late phase. Now, what this phase indicates is if you like to rise and sleep early, late, or neither early nor late. And it also indicates your best energy levels. So, for example, those with an early phase, their best energy levels are towards the earlier part of the day. And those with a late phase, as you may assume, they have the greatest energy in the latter part of the day. Alongside that, it really indicates to us our sleep patterns, typical sleep needs, how long we need to actually sleep for, because as you would probably know from conversations, how many hours of sleep you need is not necessarily the same as your best friend or your partner. So what they've actually found is that bears need the most sleep. They need 9 hours at a minimum. Lions, on the other hand, are quite happy to get by on 7, and wolves somewhere between. So it does indicate a lot more than that, but for the purpose of this short, sharp podcast with you, I will leave an invitation for your listeners and your audience to take the quiz on my website and find their sleep type, so I can then send them recommendations based upon their unique sleep type.
Well, that makes a lot of sense. I like those analogies. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. The lion.
The lion is the early riser. The bear is the one in the middle. So
right, I got it mixed up. No, so I need the 7 hours. Which one is that one?
That's the one with an early phase. So if you are a lion, you like to go to bed early, you like to rise early, you don't really need that much sleep to feel alert. Other characteristics of lions are they're typically quite health oriented. So that would be true.
That's me.
Typically leadership types as well, which is, again, I don't think a podcast host would not be a leader. So I feel that without you taking the quiz, that could be your chronotype. That's my chronotype.
I'm going to do that for sure. So, when you say get up early or go to bed late, What hours do you mean? What categorizes early and late in that circadian rhythm?
Sure. So there's just a slight difference in that lions like to go to bed around about 9:30, 10, 10:30. Wolves, on the other hand, they have the latest phase. They're not really tired until 12 o'clock a.m. At the earliest, and they'll often stay up way past that, 1 o'clock, 1:30, even though they know that they need to go to bed. They simply don't feel tired. And this isn't necessarily anything they're doing wrong. This is just the way that their circadian rhythm is aligned.
Is that something to do, sorry to interrupt, is that something to do with the thyroid? Because there is a lot of research in the area of hypothyroidism, and that you're revving up in the evening and it's hard to get up in the morning. That indicates a low underperforming thyroid. Is that something that you've researched?
I actually, you know what? I've not extensively enough to be able to answer that question off the top of my head. I do recall when I was writing my book, I remember I wrote about the thyroid, but I don't remember if there was significant correlations between a specific chronotype and thyroid.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, from memory, I don't feel like there is a strong link, or I feel like it would be top of mind. However, it is highly possible, because there are a lot of correlations between that wolf chronotype and a myriad of health problems. They actually suffer the worst health out of all the chronotypes. This includes physical conditions, potentially hyperthyroidism, type 2 diabetes, weight gain, mental health problems as well. They really suffer the cluster of health issues, and this is somewhat in part due to the fact that they typically don't sleep enough, because they're not tired until about 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, but yet most of them actually need to get up at latest, 7 o'clock in the morning. And this leaves them with very little sleep. And their health conditions are a direct consequence of lack of sleep.
Yes, and that causes a lot of stress to the system. So that actually is a segue to my next question. What happens to the body when we don't get enough deep sleep? What kind of symptoms do we experience?
So when we don't get enough deep sleep, we can categorize it into physical effects. So we have a decline in natural killer cells. So natural killer cells are critical for our immunity, and there is a 70% drop in natural killer cells when we don't have sufficient slow wave sleep. Now, as a result of this, we are 4 times more likely to catch a cold when we are sleeping only 6 hours rather than 7. So it's not a significant loss of sleep. However, it's clear that just this amount of sleep loss has such a potent effect on our immune system. There is also a rise in pro-inflammatory cytokines by approximately 20%. And there is a decline in human growth hormone, which is the key catalyst for cellular repair and is what essentially restores our tissues to their optimal function after a day of stress.
Healing and repair. It all happens at night when we sleep.
Definitely. And I think, it's also important for any ladies who are wanting to, look their best and preserve their skin quality. It's really important to know that collagen is the catalyst for collagen is human growth hormone. So if we don't produce enough human growth hormone because we haven't spent enough time in slow wave sleep, then this is going to be an issue for our collagen as well.
Yes, and during that deep sleep, we make melatonin, don't we? And that's a really powerful antioxidant. So it's my understanding during deep sleep, the brain kind of cleans itself out. It has a cleaning process, and the whole central nervous system, which is connected with the immune system you just mentioned, revamps itself. And if we don't get the deep sleep, we're not getting recharged. That would make the whole system weak.
Correct. Exactly. That system that you're speaking about, it's largely to do with beta amyloid, which is a neurotoxin that builds up due to electrical activity throughout the day. Now, because the brain does not have a lymphatic system that it can detoxify itself during the day, it's only during sleep that this key neurotoxin is removed from the brain. Now, this is a problem when we lack sleep because that increases by up to 30% after just one night of insufficient sleep. And what the evidence indicates is that when there is excessive amounts of beta amyloid in the brain, it builds up into plaques, and those plaques are a hallmark sign of Alzheimer's disease.
Wow. So that's really like free radicals roaming around and damaging brain cells. So that would explain why we get brain fog. We can't concentrate very well. It almost feels like a hangover, doesn't it, when we don't get enough deep sleep?
Correct.
Yeah. So it would shorten your lifespan too, I would imagine.
Yes, it does. There is a 10 to 15 year decline for those who in life length for those that chronically lack sleep.
How does it affect people who do shift work? Do they kind of get used to it, and can you catch up the same way with sleep during the day?
So shift workers, like those that have a late circadian phase, the wolves, they have extremely poor mental health, physical health outcomes. So much so that shift work has been classified as a carcinogen by the World Health Organization. So it's a stage 2 carcinogen, the one that is a probable cause of cancer. It's not a definite cause of cancer, but it's a probable cause of cancer. So
I can see how that would be a case, because you just mentioned the effect on the immune system. And so people who get cancer have a lot of pressure on the immune system. So that's the trigger, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. So essentially, the concept that we can catch up on sleep and compensate for lack of sleep or poor sleep, it's not accurate. The body is not designed to sleep throughout the day. And the body is also suffering after just one night of insufficient sleep. And so even if you are sleeping throughout the day, but you do not get the slow wave sleep you need, you do not get the deep quality sleep you need, you may not sleep long enough. This, after just one night, starts to have a potent effect on your immunity, on your nervous system, on all areas of your body. And so for this reason, it is not accurate that we can catch up on sleep.
It's admittedly, like sorry, go ahead.
You can compensate for some of the damages, but even after experiencing recovery sleep, what they've found is in studies of sleep deprivation that the fatigue effects and the detriment to the body that permits even after the recovery sleep has compensated for the lack of sleep.
Wow. So cat naps don't count.
They give us that second wind, but they don't restore what the full functioning as sleep would.
Wow. It's almost like we're keyed in or locked into the Earth's circulation, the day-night rhythm. We are part of the whole organism of planet Earth.
Correct. Yeah, that's how the circadian rhythm works. As our biology, we are governed to be awake when it is light outside. And before the advent of artificial lights, this was during daytime hours. And this meant a suppression of our sleepiness hormone melatonin. And when it was dark, there was a promotion of sleepiness hormone melatonin, which facilitated deep quality sleep. Now, this system worked fantastically well until we had artificial lights and devices.
And electricity. Yeah.
Exactly.
And tablets with blue screens.
Correct. Now there is no synchrony between light and when we should be awake and sleep, because essentially we have capacity to have excessive light all throughout the day. And even if your light is switched off, you still have your devices. There's still artificial light from the external lights as well. So it can be really challenging to actually get the sleep we need, simply due to light exposure.
Yes, even I think moonlight, if you don't have your curtains closed, that can affect you if people are very sensitive sleepers. And so I always recommend also people not have their mobile phones plugged in near where they're sleeping, because that electromagnetic field acts a bit like light. It's the same kind of stimulation.
Definitely.
Is that what you recommend as well?
Yeah. There's a constellation of studies that indicate that sleeping with your phone next to your bed is a problem. Even if it's switched off, it still causes a decline in sleep quality. Now, this is probably in part to the fact that our phone is a psychological cue for stimulation. When we are on our phone, we are stimulated. It's as simple as that. So simply by seeing a phone, even if you're not using it, even if it is off, the brain has an association that, oh, phone. And then
you're
it starts
expecting something.
Correct. What's on the phone? Oh, my emails are on the phone. Oh, Instagram's on the phone.
To get a dopamine hit.
Correct. So without you having to say to yourself, I am going on Instagram right now, you have these neuro associations, which mean that even just the sight of seeing a phone, even if you're not using it, stimulates that same dopamine reward pathway, because the experience and the expectation of the experience has the same effect on the dopamine reward pathway. It causes the same amount of pleasure. So even if you are just expecting to receive an email or expecting to check Instagram, and because you've seen a phone, you're reminded of that expectation, that causes that same level of excitement as if you were on the phone itself.
Wow. So I'd just like to go into the last segment with some tips on what your best recommendations are for a good night's sleep. And you know, I'd like to add a little bit about magnesium here, because Elektra Magnesium supplies beautiful skin and muscle care products that work well in a massage before bed. Super, super calming before you go to bed. And it directly suppresses adrenaline. So if you've been rushing around and, you know, very active, or you can't settle down, and you feel like you just need that something is probably magnesium. But also a nice cup of tea and perhaps some nice music. And I think I read on your site not to watch TV too late, to have that blue screen. Tell us about that blue screen thing.
Yeah,
how
sure.
It interferes.
So I think you're referring to blue light from
blue
screens.
light. Yep.
Yeah. So that is step one in my signature bedtime routine, which is a bedtime routine I recommend for everyone to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, sleep deeper, feel more refreshed. It is really potent, really powerful. And step one of that is to block out blue light. Now, this is by wearing blue light blocking glasses, 100% blue light blocking glasses, that is, with the orange lenses. Now, what this does is it can, by wearing them for 2 hours before bed, this can reduce nighttime wakings by 66% and help us fall asleep 79% faster. Now, why it's so powerful is because, as we were discussing before, light is the main factor to control our melatonin levels. So by blocking out light, you trick the body into believing that it is night and that there is no light outside. Although there is, you are protecting yourself against the sleep suppressive form of light, which is blue light. Now, that stems from screens, Kindles, outside lights, even your ceiling lights. Now, this is why it's so important to have these glasses, because it's not reasonable to be sitting in darkness.
No, goodness gracious.
2 hours for bed. We just don't do that, right?
Yeah.
So that's step one. Step two is to
unless
use
there's a
light.
power outage.
Unless it's power outage, then yeah, this is not a problem if there's
Go
a
to
power
bed
outage.
early.
Yeah.
But also in addition to light, we can be disturbed by noises. So for instance, my hubby has a snoring problem, and I've just recently ordered the mute anti-snore device. I'm so keen to try it out on him because I have to get to sleep earlier than him, or if he goes to sleep before me and starts snoring and I can hear him, well, that's the end of it for me. So I'm looking forward to this extra help.
I am super excited for you to try mute. I'm grateful that you found it on my website, and from personal experience, I heard my roommate on a retreat go from being a roaring truck to a faint whistle the night after. I was blown away, and I am so excited for you to experience that as well.
Nice. I will give you a report.
Please do. That would be fantastic.
Is there anything else you'd like to finish up with for people to pay attention to make sure that their bedtime routine is the best it can be?
Sure. So that bedtime routine that I mentioned before. So step one is to block out blue light, wear blue light blocking glasses 2 hours before bed. Step two is to use lavender. Lavender helps the brain feel more calm. Step three is to disconnect from tech 1 hour before bed. This means no phones, no laptops, no Kindles.
No YouTube.
There was studies that found if we use a phone in the last hour before bed, we are 48% more likely to take over an hour to fall asleep. So we don't want that situation for anyone. Wow. Step four is to have a shower, have a lukewarm shower. This helps the body produce melatonin, that sleepiness hormone. Then step five, which is what I'm sure you will love this step, it is to have a magnesium-based sleep supplement. And within that, I would definitely recommend all forms of magnesium are going to support your deep quality sleep. Magnesium is the primary mineral to relax the muscle. And remember, the brain is a muscle as well. So if there's one thing that's going to help our brain switch off easier in a natural way, it's magnesium. So that's why it's a fundamental part of my signature bedtime routine, and I trust why you encourage it.
I love it. It's also needed to even make melatonin.
Correct.
So I think it's a God-given mineral. It's the best.
For feeling calm, feeling relaxed, magnesium is the best mineral we can have. So it earns a place in my bedtime routine for a reason, and I love that you're so passionate about it, because I'm also super passionate about it.
Good. So people want to. Oh, sorry, I thought you finished.
No, we've got just step five. That was step five. Then step six is to read a book, read a printed book. This gives you something to do when you're not on your devices. And
it always makes me fall asleep, the printed book.
Right? It does. And that's what it's designed to do. It's designed to focus the mind and help it from wandering off into other places.
And no bright lights.
No bright lights, correct. And then step 7 is to wear an eye mask. And remember that you need to protect against light throughout the night as well to ensure that you get the quality sleep you need.
Wow, I'm going to get an eye mask. I have a lot of things to do. And so if people want to purchase your book or have a look at what else you do on your website, where should they go?
So my sleep kit is available, which includes my book. I also have blue light glasses that I recommend on my website, and I'll send them out to you with a little gift as well.
Oh, nice.
Definitely, because I have these tools that I can use that can support best sleep health, such as a checklist of that bedtime routine. That's actually what I send out with with my books and with the glasses, because I know it's all good and well to have the glasses, have the book, but you actually need an action plan and need advice on when to do it. And so literally I send out these little checklists, I send out an instruction guide. It makes it really easy to implement. And that's what I want, because then you're more likely to implement it and see results. And
It's
so
all about
that is
good habits, isn't it? Good habits.
Correct.
Yes. And then we can live longer and more well.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I think the best place to connect with me and, find out more about that and all my offerings is via Instagram. I'm Olivia Arezzolo, or if you type in Australia's leading sleep expert, I usually come up as number one. I'm also on LinkedIn, Olivia Arezzolo, on my website, oliviaarezzolo.com.au. All of these I'm sure we will share in the show notes. So
yes, definitely.
It'd be lovely to connect with any of your community, because I'm sure they're just as lovely as you are.
They are wonderful people, every single one. And thank you so much for this great discussion today. And it's a really, really, really important topic. If you want to live well and healthy and a longer life, then you really need to pay attention to good deep sleep. And with that, I will say adieu, and perhaps we can do this in the future again.
That'd be so wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hope you liked this conversation and will share it with others. Let me know what you thought about it in the comments below. If you want to listen to other Body Charge conversations, click like, subscribe, the bell icon, and click all notifications. Subscribe to our newsletter to get updates on blogs, podcasts, videos, and Magnesium special offers at electramagnesium.com.au. Relax, recharge, and recover.